Grand finals of the ESL Open Cup Europe, number 35. In the bottom left-hand side. Are you surprised that he is here in the finals? No, of course you are not, because it's HeroMarine in the bottom left. He's our blue Terran player. And in the top right, our red Protoss from Ting is Neeb. So Neeb won the NA Cup last week, so he decided to level up and play in the European Cup. Whoa, okay. I mean, I don't want to go off topic super soon, but can we stop with the hate for my singing? Like, I can't believe you guys. I can't believe you don't enjoy. Unbelievable. Hey, Cloudbox, thanks so much for the 1,000 bits. Just rejoined after lunch, and I mean, I don't know what to say. It's just awesome, right? Welcome back, everyone. If this series is awesome, it'll be on YouTube, and you'll be like, Wardy, what are you on about? Well, I just made a theme tune for Starglaves, which is when someone opens Stargate, and then they go resonating Glaves, and... well, let's just say this is the content you miss out if you watch live on Twitch. So, we kick this off. We go into game 1 of this best of 5. Grand finals, obviously big time to shine. I think a lot of people really doubt Neeb more than he deserves. Simply because he's honestly, he's not been as good as he used to be in terms of consistency in tournaments. But honestly, sometimes I watch Neeb and I'm just like, man, he's really freaking good still, huh? It's just, it feels like that consistency really is lacking for him. Neeb actually only won one of these European Cups, and it was way back in February, and he actually beat HeroMarine in that finals. But he was in the finals 6 weeks ago, in July, end of July, and he actually did lose to HeroMarine in that finals. If I'm not mistaken, that was after he came through a 3-2 series against Clem, and HeroMarine then won 3-1. I seem to remember putting those games on the YouTube. Going to be seeing our Reaper SCV moving around a little bit as we get ourselves up and running. Obviously, just pretty standard opener, nothing too crazy just yet, right? I mean, just getting set up into this, very happy, very content to play a standard opener. It is a pretty quick sentry from Neeb, which generally suggests he wants to get a hallucination of some early information. And that means he's generally not going to go for a Twilight Council. And that is where the Robo comes down. So yeah, you actually get to scout on the Robo here, Marine. So that's awesome. Getting to see the Robo early, it takes away a lot of options. You don't have to worry about any sort of Stargate harassment. You don't have to worry about any Stalkers. HeroMarine can even cut some corners right now and just go into full-on build-up mode. I actually kind of like the Hellions as well, because I actually think the Hellions are really cool at maybe bypassing, like, you know, the Robo doesn't help at all with Hellions. And if you're not going to go Blink, you might not build as many Stalkers, so maybe the Hellions can do some good damage. Yeah, some good possibilities here as we get set up in the next couple of moments. So we'll see exactly where these Hellions are going to go. HeroMarine's really on a streak in these cups as well. I think it's just worth mentioning as a little bit of an extra intro into this, by the way, guys. HeroMarine is looking for his 5th win in a row. And he's looking for his 7th win in the last 10 cups. Oh, his 7th win in 10 cups. And his 5th in a row. I mean, utter dominance. Neeb is kind of a new challenger. He's taken down players like Showtime, Clem, and Austin in the finals in the past few weeks. I mean, it's just crazy how good HeroMarine is in these weekly cups. Like, it's genuinely ridiculous. Hellions going to run in. They'll start with a sentry kill. I don't mind that. The problem is you need a one-shot probes because of the shield batteries, so you've got to get some of those probes killed. And so far the probes are dying as that is a lag spike. Who is it? Is it Wardy? It's the Novak. And you know what? He ain't coming back after this one. Not the worst time for a lag spike. Could be worse. I mean, the Hellions are no longer in one-shot potential, so I don't think it's really all that bad. So just a moment or two of lagging out the game. Could have been worse. As well, he is back. I think he should probably leave. If he does not, then I would say that's a bit disrespectful, as our Raven is about to finish up. The Cloak is coming in here as maybe a bit of a faker, maybe a bit of a backup plan. Maybe kind of depended on what he saw. Obviously, he was building the Raven for a while, so Decides just to go for that Raven. That's obviously great. Adds a lot of kind of shutdowns on Colossus and stuff. There's a couple of Stalkers are just positioned in the natural. They shot a probe, but they're going to get away with it. The shield battery heals it up, and so they weren't actually caught. A lot of Grax building in the main base. The factory to a tech lab. Starport moves off. The siege tank already building. And yeah, just going to see this Robo Bay from Neeb about halfway done. Marines and a Raven out the front. A third CC is coming through as well. And that's set up at the moment. Yeah, I mean, the opening from Neeb is obviously a bit unique because it's that Robo first. It really doesn't put much pressure on the map. So it's very important you don't take any damage. The benefit of the Robo first is you get a lot of observers. So you've got detection everywhere, you've got vision everywhere. You're like super hyper defensive. So, you know, stuff like the Hellions running in, you can't really afford to take much damage to that because you don't have your own ways to kind of counter pressure. But then you can do this. You can move into Colossi nice and quickly while being on a relatively fast third base still. And then you can go double forge and so on. I will not lie, I do not like the position of these structures, because I don't like the double forge and the Robo Bay prime targets in a prime drop location. HeroMarine drops up through the top side and gets here. You know, if Neeb is just out of position a little bit, boom, pylon, unpowered. Maybe he can even kill the forges. Even the Robo, you know what I mean? I just feel like that is not really where you want to be building your majority of your tech. You usually want to keep it safe, centralized in your base, away from popular positions. So I'm not a big fan of that from Neeb, but we'll see if it comes back to bite him in the booty a little bit later on. There's a few extra gateways just on the way up from Neeb right now. And with that 1-1 starting as mentioned, so you will build into a very powerful mid-game. And we'll see what HeroMarine wants to do about it. The thing about HeroMarine's TvP and pretty much all of his matchups and what makes him so good in these events is that he just keeps showing up and just kind of like rolling over everybody. Like, it's kind of disgusting. Like, it's really kind of disgusting how well he's able to just kind of show up and be like, oh, cool, I'm just going to win this game. He just kind of wanders and he wins the game. And it's like, what? You can't just do that? And he's like, well, yeah, I can. I'm HeroMarine. And we're like, well, we guess you are HeroMarine, but like, he just keeps winning at like 8 to 10 minutes in these games. Like, the first push just does so much. He catches his opponents off guard. It's just brute force, no doubt about what he's going to do. And he just kills people. And it's been kind of brutal to watch. So I'm really interested to see how Neeb approaches that. I do feel like Neeb's army right now is not one you can just run into and kill. Even with the Raven to shut down Colossi and so on. I do think that that's something that doesn't really come into play much at the moment. As our Adept shades out around the side, this Bio army is going to get rid of that Adept. And a couple High Templar still building up as well. Neeb will regather up to the top. And a Nexus on the 12 o'clock position coming through as well. It's going to be seeing our charge from the Twilight Council, going to finish very soon. Our Colossus still in production. And seeing our couple of Vikings, concussive shells, and all the good stuff. Continuing on up, a Ghost is going to pop out. A couple of Ghosts on the way out, with our enhanced shock waves on the way too. Again, with the 4th Nexus up on the 12 o'clock position. We do have that possibility of just really continuing to expand, go into the big later stages of this game. And we've got Disruptors on the way as well. HeroMarine's moving out. I mean, this is still like this sort of 10-minute-ish kind of push timing. You see what I mean? It's just terrifying. Like, I look at this biome, I'm like, man, that's a lot of stuff. He's going to drop around the right side as well. He's going to try and pull units out of position, but this medevac is going to be seen super early on by this Observer. And he was going to try and run a few Zealots by, but there is a bunker on that third base, so don't expect it to be overly successful, that run by, of course. Just going to be seeing the army of Neeb through the top, and just going to be seeing there's the drop in the natural. I mean, he kind of knew this was coming. The disruptor shot's actually pretty good to play cleanup. Neeb's just going to leap on this. Anti-armor missile goes down rather than a Matrix. Felt like everything was moving in slow motion there for a moment. So a lot of cells that charge on in. Does Neeb have a defense or does he not? I think the answer may be he does not. Force field's coming down, but Colossus are being chased. That's one more dead Colossus. And 6 probes go down over here. The super battery, etc., definitely helping a little bit. I love this. HeroMarine just finds an extra unit to evacuate away. And Neeb is just, man, this is what I mean. HeroMarine just keeps doing this. He just keeps getting away with it. You know, you can't stop him. He shows up 10-ish minutes in the game and he just kills you. I mean, Neeb ain't dead. But he ain't exactly kind of living his best life out here with one Colossus, one Archon, and then Gateway units to support, right? And HeroMarine kind of knows it, and that's why he's going to chase in right now. He's got an EMP to maybe drop, or does he? I think he does. Okay, he has one now that he could drop on all these Stalkers. Yep, boom, with the Enhanced Shockwaves upgrade. Ain't even close, and HeroMarine is going to overturn Neeb in this first game, rout him out, and it just wasn't even an issue, was it? GG's, and HeroMarine takes that one. Shh. Shh. They'll never know. Death Aura. Man, I mean, I feel like Neeb got into a decent spot. Like, it kind of felt like that was what his build was meant to do. He was safe. Just didn't have enough. Obviously, the drop in the natural is kind of painful, but that didn't even do that much damage. It's just he didn't really have an answer to that main fight. HeroMarine just runs in. He's so big, it just multiplies the size of his army, apparently, to match him, and it's just unstoppable. HeroMarine in the bottom right-hand side is up 1 in the grand finals. Top left-hand side, our red Protoss play from Ting is Neeb. Be fun to see what adjustments he wants to make going into this game. I think what's really interesting for Neeb going into the kind of talk about other stuff that's going on, right? Is that obviously we know HeroMarine's going to play in DreamHack against the Protoss player, and Neeb isn't going to play a Terran. And he doesn't really have to play a Terran at all. So what I find really interesting here is I wonder how good Neeb is looking in PvT, because A, maybe he didn't feel like he had to practice it a lot for his DreamHack, and B, I wouldn't, but at the same time, like, he doesn't really have to hold back, because the chance of him having to play a Terran player, maybe if he loses in his semifinals and future wins, then he would have to play a Terran pretty quickly. Thing is, I think Neeb uses these tournaments to really kind of get some good practice in a lot of the time, and figure stuff out a lot. So I don't know if he's just going to go all out like, oh, I'm just trying 100% to win, in terms of like, I'm just going to cheese and throw stupid stuff at you. Maybe experiment with builds a whole bunch. As we get game 2. Setting up SCV. Gone around to scout out. Kind of surprised if Neeb just does this robo build again. I would expect something a bit more, not even aggressive, but just opportunistically aggressive, right? Like where you can go into like a Twilight Council, you can go into like a Blink, and you can get Stalkers on the map, even if it's not with like 4 gates looking to kill. Just like a Twilight Council with Blink to kind of get a few Stalkers up and running, I think can be very nice a lot of the time. Stargate is building, so yeah, I don't mind that in the slightest. Also, Death Aura is a great map for Stargate, lots of dead airspace and so on, so unless they go into like a Viking, you can keep the Oracles around and about for a very long time without being in range of anything. Obviously, if they go into a Viking, that's kind of nullified a little bit, but Stargate's just a typically strong opener, and the other thing is, it might be so he can actually go into Phoenix as a follow-up too, or the Void Ray, for the exact same reason. It's very nice for Medivacs just to sit here, and just kind of wait to drop you again and again over here. Widow Mine drop, wait to hit the 3rd base. So by having something like a Void Ray or a Phoenix, even if it's just one, can be really, really nice as a response to that kind of stuff, as Hellions are going to be coming out, and HeroMarine will be looking for early damage this game. Medivac already starting to build. 2 more Hellions about to pop out from HeroMarine. And that Tech Lab on the barracks is about halfway done. So, Tech Lab on the racks coming through. Our Twilight Council is building in the back of the main. A chunk of Hellions coming in. Medivac is going to be popping out and just going to be seeing the few Hellions ready to jump into this. Cyclone from HeroMarine is coming through as well. It's a little revelation. Dropping down on the racks, dropping down on the factory. 4 Hellions moving into the main. And they're just going to go get a couple of probes. A few more going to go down as well. 3 workers down. Neeb has to bring the Oracle back over to deal with this, and that's obviously expensive. 8 workers and the Oracle's back at home, not able to do anything aggressively across the map. There's the Phoenix on the way. So again, that idea of not really allowing anything else to happen is, yeah, it's just going to be... I mean, this Banshee follow-up can actually be pretty powerful too. If you get 2 Banshees up and they come in at the right time when the Oracle is once again kind of not in the right place, yeah, that can absolutely be problematic. He's telling you just going to... May as well trade out for what you can, right? The Phoenix is about to get here. This Medevac's going to go down. This is always a new setup as our Phoenix going into the corner and getting set to go. Banshee around the left. As the third Nexus goes down on the right side, gets that set up to go. And the probe continuing down the right as we'll wait for Banshee number 2 to pop out. Gonna see our cloak gonna pop. So again, I mean, I really feel like these couple of Banshees could be a great thing. I mean, this Oracle's gonna miss the stop. Oh no, it's not gonna see it. So yeah, it's gonna miss the starport. There's gonna be really nothing at home defensively. I mean, the Robo's not done yet, so you're really relying on that Oracle as detection. Now, Neeb sees the starport had a tech lab on it. Immediately he's going back home. He knows what this could be. Wow, that's a great catch in the end from Neeb. Just at the right time to minimize taking any further damage. I say minimize. I mean, he still will take some, right? The detection isn't at home just yet. The Banshees fly into the main. Did he see them with the Oracle just yet? Does he know where they are? He's going to come in. He's going to go... I like why he positions because he goes to the main and then he can fly to the natural. And it means you're guaranteed a bit more damage because the Stalkers can't chase you down after they've already blinked to chase initially. Really cute play from HeroMarine. You know, really nice kind of decision as to when to start firing with those Banshees, and he gets 10 more probes. Neeb's economy is nowhere near what it's meant to be at this stage of a game, that is for sure. Third orbital going to set up a lot of Stalkers. I mean, Neeb's on just like mass Stalkers. I mean, there's no sim or anything, but these siege tanks just shouldn't really let the Stalkers do anything. They create a super good defensive line just across the third and into the natural/main area, so you're not going to find any opening there, and HeroMarine just shuts that down, no problem at all. Man. See, this game, I feel like Neeb obviously just took early damage, and he took early damage again, so... Now it already becomes very difficult to hold this next big, or the first big attack of HeroMarine, right? When he gets those upgrades and he comes across with the tank army. It's so rough when the Terran player can do that much damage early. That's what, combined 18 probes? And for HeroMarine, yeah, it's a cost, right? It's a medevac, Italians, Banshees, but the whole idea is you're trading those units out to slow the economy down so that you can go for that big push after with... You know, it slows you down less than it slows the Protoss player down, and that's the big thing here. That's the big deal. Third CC is just going to get in, and yeah, just setting up. I mean, these Stalkers from Neeb still setting up for the moment. Two Stalkers on the bottom side. Bit of Bio going to move on the map. Bio on the right side too. Is this Bio just waiting for 2 medevacs to come lift it up? Maybe. He's actually going to have Stalkers intercepting him over here as he just caught a pylon on the high ground. Oh, but this Bio now is going to kind of catch these Stalkers as well. He's going to get 2 kills at the very least. He gets a third. This Bio actually turned out to just be positioned nicely to come and catch those Stalkers. Wow. Every little thing going right for HeroMarine, but I mean, it's all because he is playing it correctly and well also, right? That's the what's really awesome to watch about HeroMarine. It's not like his opponents making mistakes. No, he's not. His opponents isn't making unforced errors. He's making his opponent make the mistakes. Charge just finished. I mean, that's essential. If there was no charge here, this was already looking kind of bad. No charge would have made it look maybe impossible. 3 Colossi. Can these tanks do enough? Tanks are pretty spread out. 2 of them not siege, so actually Neeb picks a pretty good time to fight in. If there was ever going to be a time to win this fight, it was probably going to be right there, and he is going to be able to push through and take this down. So yeah, HeroMarine kind of screws up the timing a little bit. He misses his 2 tank sieges on the backside. And then he was a bit kind of like, a lot of the tanks that were back here just weren't in the fight at all. So he picked a pretty good fight at least. He keeps the Colossi alive, and that might keep his hopes alive in this game, as Vikings are in production as a way to try and shut down these Colossus. Well, HeroMarine is not just going to walk away with the victory as easily as I thought he might in the second game with the way it was going, but he's on his way to Ghost. He's already hitting +2 attack, by the way, and so he's actually on 2-1 against just +1. So he's actually got an upgrade late here as well. If a 4th base being established, he's going to be mining a 4th base at the same time the Protoss player is. That's obviously not meant to happen so easily. Good thing about Death Aura from Neeb's point of view is that defensively it's really good as a map, right? You can take those 4 bases and you can sit on them. The problem is base number 5 becomes way more of an issue. To stretch out over here or over here is really, really difficult in comparison to holding this ramp, this entry, and this ramp, right? So that's where the Terran play can really start to strike. So yeah, Neeb gets to 4 bases, but that's the easy part of the map. Getting to 5 base is going to be the next step, and he doesn't have to get there yet, but it's got to be a looming thought, because can he end this game on 4 bases? Probably not. HeroMarine is, got a lot of Vikings, so you can deal with Colossi trying to push into him. He's got EMPs, so if you push into him, you're also going to eat a lot of shield damage before you even start a fight. So I see that Cyclone gets picked off. We do... And, I mean, HeroMarine is just going to break down these rocks. He's looking for a fight again already. He's about to finish up the +2 armor to maintain the 2 armor upgrade lead in the game. Neeb going into Shadow Stride, thinking about the later stages. Well, I mean, this is a fight. Oh, that's a massive fight. Big EMPs hitting everything. Thing is, now it feels like the Vikings can just kill those Colossi so quickly, but the Archons are scary. Disruptor gets targeted down. And these Disruptors just didn't even fight yet. Now HeroMarine will play the splitting game, as you will get rid of 1 Disruptor, the 2nd Disruptor. Surviving for the moment. Stasis Ward's trying to slow this down a little bit too. Vikings going to find an Oracle. Now they're going to commit in for the Colossus. Super Battery will keep that Colossus alive, though I don't think the Vikings should stay there. That he's losing them. And in the meantime, Neeb is getting that base to the left-hand side. So he's getting that 5th base that might be more difficult to take at a later stage. Hey, these Vikings, I don't think are going to get Colossus before they get taken down now. And I actually like this fight a lot for Neeb. Colossus are going to survive, at least one of them. The few Archons still mixed in. And I mean, HeroMarine doesn't have the EMPs to throw down on this army anymore either. Another fight from Neeb where HeroMarine maybe just picked a bad fight. I think really stuck around a little too long in that Super Battery. And then really tried to fight again here when Neeb kind of came down the ramp, which was, I mean, obviously in hindsight, not really worth it. It's still close. It kind of still depends on maybe what these Disruptors can do. Stalkers blink in to push Marauders back. The Viking has to land, and it looks as though Neeb will continue to chase in. Blinks for that Viking kill. Maybe with some money to spend. If he can spend it, get into a good spot. The big thing for me really is that he gets a 5th base up during all of this, because I really see this as the most difficult thing to do on Death Aura. So now that he's got that base up and running, you're actually in a position where you can maybe really just hold out the front and just kind of hold 5 bases, and maybe now you make the Terran player's 5th base difficult to get, because you're going to be running Zealots and Blink DTs at his bases. That's never going to be easy to take base number 5 from the Terran now that, the Protoss player is leveled up into the next stage of the game. Six extra gates as Neeb just addressing maybe his little bit of a banking problem, as he's been unable to spend the money perfectly during fights. How many extra gates is that? It's 14, so it really is just kind of 5 base kind of setup. Oh. A couple of Disruptor shots, some hitting Zealots, but for good reason. There was a Ghost in the mix. Nice EMP, hits those DTs. That just makes them that much easier to get rid of before the damage max stacks up. It actually kind of becomes an essential little something, right, to be able to actually just get rid of the DTs that quickly, because they can do so much if they blink onto you. You just need them to die. HeroMarine is, I like this kind of split bit of pressure. Trading well up here, but not overcommitting in, and I think really responding well to the current situation. GTTs, I think I'm going to try and run into this. And, well, do they want to fight here? Well, they're going to start swiping, but that kind of gives them up. Nice blink away, gets out of there. Of course, there's a scan that wasn't useful. HeroMarine's collecting everything together, so he's going for the larger push up the left side. The only thing I'm a little worried about is it is very disruptor focused. So you're really relying on these disruptors to connect, and if HeroMarine hits an EMP on the disruptors and can move forward and target them down, that becomes scary. Dodges the first disruptor shot, the next one's too far away. Only a couple of Vikings where that Colossus goes down, and that's the issue for me. There's just not any real consistent splash damage in this Protoss army. And then the disruptors are so good once you start trying to run up that ramp. DT is gonna run in here, gonna blink straight in for the planetary fortress. The repair will come down, but it's unlikely to be enough because the DTs are just that good at this stage. This is why these are so good, and this is why the 5th base, the Terran play, is going to be a problem in terms of getting it up and keeping it up. Is now he is going to be able to get the Colossus though, and he's going to hit this base too. So Neeb focused on the left side is going to take damage on the right. A lot of units warping in on top of this, and they're going to try and join in, but the pylon was killed, so the units get cancelled. Oh, okay, HeroMarine. He's stuck in a corner here. The Stalkers blink forward, but you know what? By blinking forward, he loses a lot of them, and then the lift up comes in as the disruptors fire, and Neeb comes out down on supply after all of this. Got to cancel on this Nexus top side. Some Zealots and a probe running through. The disruptors showing up. Bio army having to split away as that disruptor's actually hitting a little bit here and there. Now HeroMarine, obviously the big play is to hit this left side because you've got Neeb's army dragged out to the right. So if you can hit that left side the next moment or two, well, that would be awesome. There's new GTs that are going to try and deny SCVs. So again, it's not simple for HeroMarine. He's being made to work on this bottom left-hand side. Head of Vax, trying to figure out where to go. They don't really know. This base would be a good one to go for as we see EMPs going down. A lot of Zealots being picked away at. This Bio army continues to stim in, hits the Nexus. He's going to get rid of this Nexus easily. Man, this is pure Archon. Just hit it with EMPs. It's going to melt. Oh my god, the Disruptors just ran into this. Neeb just lost this game. He's lost absolutely everything. Dropping the main as a distraction. That doesn't even lose anything. And HeroMarine just killed the 5th base. And so much of the tech, all of those Archons, nothing to support them. They melt when the EMPs come down. And obviously the Disruptors just don't stand up for themselves with nothing in front of them. And all of a sudden, Neeb is just on 107 supply. And this all happens so quickly. That right side base going down just set into motion the series of events that led to a 40 supply deficit. And, well, don't get me wrong, these Stalkers can still stop this drop play a bit, but, I mean, HeroMarine is, you know, HeroMarine is now on a 5th base as well, right? That's the other news in all of this, that he's actually continuing to expand himself. And now we are, you know, for what I was talking about earlier, I was talking about how I was worried about Neeb getting a 5th, but he did a good job of getting it, but now it's not there. Now he's got to retake that difficult 5th base again. And in a way, that 5th base even was the problem, because being on that left side allowed the right side attack to come through. HeroMarine just stepping away. He's losing quite a lot here. Did he go a bit too soon, perhaps? Man, there's only 2 Colossi in this, though. It's really not a lot of splash. Not really many DTs or any high damage output units, but HeroMarine leaves his Medivacs in the front, and he allows 2 more to be picked off, so another couple of larger pickoffs. He has those Stalkers blink straight in to get more damage done. This game is kind of an exhauster as Neeb. 18 minutes deep is still trying to fight. He wants to try and deny a base. I think he knows they need to do something here, at least a little bit of it, and he will if the Disruptors kind of force this army back. HeroMarine's been adding Vikings in though, and once these Vikings chip away and pick off those Colossi, that is going to be the end of, again, this splash damage that's been so consistently powerful from HeroMarine throughout these fights again and again. SCV's going down as Stalkers get behind this mineral line. The planetary fortress is not going to reach them for too much longer. Hello, that's a interesting recall because he loses. I mean, I can understand there's a drop over here, but you lose a Colossus. The Stalkers did very well, apparently hotkeyed though, and they run away. Man, Neeb is actually still in this. He took a really good fight over here, which I think kept him kind of in the game despite those Archons and so on going down. Still not convinced, because I still think Neeb's army is just not really good enough overall. Yeah, there's a couple of nice units in it, but are there enough good units in it? I think the answer is no, and once those units go down, this Disruptors fire, the Colossus is killed. What is there to really stand up to the Terran player? Answer is absolutely nothing, so now you can see the kind of effects of that as Neeb just falls apart. This army is getting ripped to shreds, and I mean, these Stalkers are kind of desperate to fight apparently, but HeroMarine's also just like, well, I could just deny this base. Get the pylon, deny the DT warp in. Doesn't quite get the denial, but... Well, I was going to say you should have a scan. There's actually a cannon over here. Difficult to pick up on the best possible fight in that case scenario, but at the end of the day, it's still going to be enough as reinforcements show up. These Stalkers will not hold their own. 20 minutes of action goes the way of HeroMarine, and we go to a 2-0 lead for our Terran in the final. Looking for his 5th. Bottom left-hand side, up 2-0. Bit of a scrappier game than he might have originally liked off the initial damage. Our blue Terran is HeroMarine. Top right, the red Protoss player. This is Neeb. See in the chat someone asking about Neeb and ping. Well, he is playing on Europe. Obviously, he lives in America. Neeb's ping to Europe is pretty low. He lives like East Coast. He lives around New York, if I'm not mistaken. So he's got very good connection to Europe. And most of the time when Neeb plays in like online events, he says he doesn't care whether you play NA East or Europe. So I don't think it really... I don't think he's really that affected by any sort of ping on Europe. I think you're talking at most like 70 to 80 ping. And HeroMarine's playing at like 30 to 40, right? So like, yes, it's like at that level where it's not really noticeable either, you know? So yeah. Hey, Cloudbox, thank you so much for the 100 bits. Appreciate it, as we do have our probe of Neeb. Heading now down to the bottom side of the map. So yeah. Probe just gonna come and scout. Not really much of a surprise there. I mean, honestly, if this third game goes kind of similar to how game number 2 went, I'd still be kind of happy. You know, I feel like that was a fun game to cast, at least. Even if this ends up being a 3-0, hope Neeb can kind of put up the fight to kind of take us back and forth a bit. Even better if Neeb can put up a fight and win a game, right? Even better if he can put up a fight and properly win a game. That is for sure. CV up into the natural nexus and the core down to finish. Obviously from HeroMarine, he's very happy to see that. That means right away there's not any sort of proxy play going on in the map anywhere for the most part, so unless there was something really strange. But what can you afford? A nexus at that time and a proxy? Only if you proxy the first gateway, which then obviously you realize there's a gateway missing. Now, Pillars of Gold, one of the shortest maps in the map pool. A little bit longer than Submarine when it comes to rush distance, but it's still pretty small. So that low ground gateway means that the Adept comes across the map super quickly, but HeroMarine's already responding to it. Super fast bunker. And I think that's up in time to save anything, so he shouldn't run into a whole bunch of trouble there, that's for sure. As you do see this Reaper fighting this probe and dealing some good damage. Probe taking a few hits. And, yeah, just having an okay time. There's a couple of Marines going to fight this Adept. An Adept which is not quite going to get that SCV. He loses the Adept, wow. Oh, that's unfortunate. He goes into the Stargate as the next step, and now you've already lost an Adept, which when you combine with the Stargate is usually a pretty cool unit to maybe hit one place, the Oracle hits elsewhere, or, you know, Adepts can really power up what the Oracle can do as well. So that's not really a pretty start. It's a little bit unfortunate. If it goes into the late game, why not try Sky Toss? Well, I mean, you can't really try Sky Toss in that last game, if that's what you're talking about, a little bit dicey, because when is he meant to afford Sky Toss? Like, he could, you know, if he was on 5 bases for, like, another couple of minutes, I could understand, like, adding on Stargates and stuff, but he never really had, you know, once it got into the problematic stage, he wasn't really able to get there. I mean, everyone has been going carriers when they can in PvT. The problem is you can't just go carriers whenever you want to. You have to have the right amount of income. And Neeb was getting there to the point where I would be like, yeah, you maybe could have gone, but I think he would have been, even if he'd started to go for it already, he would have been caught switching to Sky Toss at a point where he loses bases, and then you can't really afford Sky Toss at all, right? So that's if you were talking about the last game. In general, I think Neeb would love to get up into carriers here, and it's absolutely something we've seen him do in PvT quite regularly. Get up into carriers in the later stages of the game if you can't quite kill the Terran. It is very powerful with the Disruptor support, but you need a good eco to do. You need a stable 4 to 5 base. I even think 4 base is kind of pushing it a little bit because, you know, usually 4 base you're doing a lot of setting up, and you kind of, by the time you get around to setting up the Sky Toss style, you kind of need that 5th base because your main and natural are starting to mine now because it's just that stage of the game. Phoenix down to the bottom here, as we'll see the Twilight and the Forge still building on the natural. Our 3rd Nexus of Neeb setting up, and I like the Phoenix. I mean, he's really obviously taking some damage early last game, so the Phoenix really helped to alleviate that sort of damage. And that was actually with the commitment into Stargate and just Phoenix as well. And this time, HeroMarine plus 1 attack's already on the way up. His 3 racks are down. Stim starts. Combat shields will be soon to follow. And she has a couple Cyclones. He has that little bit of extra oomph against the air units, so the extra little bit of damage you can put out against the Phoenix. And Neeb just trying to go up to 3 base as he goes into the Twilight and Forge follow-up. I was about to say he was going Blink, but he changes to Charge, and I like that. It's a really good way to punish HeroMarine if he tries to come across the map to kill that 3rd too early. Having Charge really is way more valuable than Blink. I think just in general when you're playing Phoenix, Charge is just better because, again, you're kind of weaker to ground attacks, so the Charge covers that way better than Blink does. And the Blink is much more about kind of map control and shutting down drops, that kind of thing, having some ability. But the Phoenix give you that in this sort of setup. Temple Archives will build from Neeb in the main, as you do just see our Phoenix making their way to the left side. Combat Shield Stimpack continuing through. Nice lock on with the Cyclone. Well, these Phoenix have been pretty lacking in terms of any kind of impact they've had. And HeroMarine has his 3rd CC down in position. His 4th and 5th racks are on the way. And, well, you guys know what's coming. A couple of minutes, we might have a push out from HeroMarine. We'll see how Neeb tries to handle it. Destination comes down the bottom left side. Let's see the rest of these Marines setting up, and we do see our Robo Bay about to complete from Neeb in this natural. So we're going to get into that splash damage production, but here's our first push. Now, not really a lot of splash here. It's a couple of Cyclones, because he didn't build any tanks early. This Zealot? Okay, the Zealot was seen, and it did see the army, so that's a pretty nice catch, of course. Extra Zealots just kind of found here. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, there's not like an endless amount of Zealots already up and running, so you get a little bit worried seeing Neeb kind of bleed a couple out, because that Zealot count, if it's not high enough, well, Charge is not gonna matter. They're just gonna get kited, and they will do a little bit. We do have our Zealot Archon. Should be, I mean, the reality is I just don't think you have the Widow Mines or EMPs to really deal with this army just yet. That's HeroMarine. So I don't think you can really fight. Like, you can fight this because you can kite away. You can't run in and take, like, the proper large and committed fight. He gets caught by a few force fields, allowing the Zealots to maximize their effectiveness. But HeroMarine really maintains a lot of his army, so I think this is fine. There's the Ghost Academy that we kind of expect, and I guess we'll probably just expect a 4th base fairly soon, too. He's going to get a 2nd starport initially, so he's actually just going to cut Widow Mine production, which is fine because you're going to get the EMPs up. To take the shields off the Zealots and to make them a little bit less tanky. Marines up the right side already pushing the Phoenix away. Obviously Neeb down to take the 4th base. Yeah, I still don't really think HeroMarine's got like a lot to push in or anything right now. Got little things like just cleaning up pylons, right? It's the threat of attacking that's dangerous. And look at this, Neeb's got such a huge split over this side. I think he's expecting a drop. He doesn't realize that everything was here. He didn't see that everything was here just yet. So that's a cancelled 4th base. And Neeb just did not have everything in the right place to begin with there. One Widow Mine left behind. He's going to hit dead center on the Zealots. Good split away last moment. But now the drop into the main. Oh, Neeb, what do you do about this? You're going to recall? Well, HeroMarine will stand and fight a cannon. And he's going to lift up and get out of there. So pretty low commitment drop from HeroMarine. Well, if he loses a full medevac, that's a shame. The Phoenix is going to get a full medevac of units. I like the idea. Maybe he should have just gotten away as soon as he saw the recall, because he could have been back down here and pushing with everything unloaded already. And then there wasn't really a good way to respond to that as Neeb. Or you could have ran units at the 3rd base instead of reinforcing to this main position, but HeroMarine seems pretty consistent. He wants to go this way. That's a hell of a Widow Mine shot. Don't need an EMP if the one Widow Mine you have in the army hits like that. It's a stunning little connection. Well, Neeb is getting the disruptors up, so obviously as you get to those disruptors, you're going to be able to really control the game a little bit better yourself and control these fights a little bit more easily, because then you can push the Terran player away, you know, a little bit more at your own command. So I do like where that's kind of heading. Bio up through to the top, couple of disruptors moving around. Bio gonna stim in. Another disruptor from the right side, gonna fly to the ramp there. And do you see this medevac gonna unload into the back of the main base? Just gonna get the medevac. I mean, those Marines gonna go down. Everything else gonna pushing in. Archons. And they get some mega splash on those Vikings, so the Vikings do not have a good time. Oh, disruptor shot that I just kind of missed. Another one kind of hits as well. Good fighting for Neeb. Bunker defending back at home. Oh, that disruptor shot just kind of went through the screen, went like across the screen, didn't even see it. I was kind of looking at the Vikings because I was terrified they were going to die. They took a lot of damage from the Archons. They splashed big time. Well, HeroMarine takes a 4th base behind this. Neeb's already trying to set up a 5th base as well, though. It's really the question, isn't it? Like, do you let this 5th base go up as HeroMarine? Can you pressure that at all? That's the one thing that really kind of swung the last game when he kind of killed off one of the bases when Neeb went up to 5 eventually. It took him a little while, but he got there in the end. You can see our Bio just kind of stemming up, a couple of force fields dropping down. We do have the... In the Vikings, there's a lot of them, and they're just looking for the right fight. That disruptor moved to the last moment and misses the ghosts. And there's just so many Vikings. There's almost too many. Disruptor shot, HeroMarine. Yeah, decent last-minute splits. Is he trying to cut this army off with the Vikings? Like, if he lands them over here or something to catch? I think he's just going to bring them with the army, and he will land them at some stage. What's big is there's no reinforcements in this army. Hits the EMP on the disruptor, so they much more easily go down, but the Zealots flank in from the right side. So Neeb does get some reinforcements, but then HeroMarine shows up with a little bit more as well. EMPs on those Archons means that they're just such low HP. And Neeb has money in the bank, and HeroMarine just doesn't feel like he's doing the right things at the moment. It's just none of these fights are quite as good as they need to be. 7 workers is down now. Zealots in the natural, so HeroMarine is the one that's being pulled back defensively. And these Zealots going to take some big damage here. They're going to continue to drop down. We've got an army of Neeb still moving down the left-hand side as well. So this army with disruptors involved, trying to see what it can get to as Stalker's putting a little bit of pressure out there. Double medevac of HeroMarine going to go out away to the right side. I mean, I like this because it does feel like some counter pressure is needed, and the issue right now is that Neeb is kind of controlling the game. He's controlling the fights. So drops like this really do kind of say nuh-uh to that, and especially coming at this time where there's just no battery up or anything. Really maybe allows you to deny this. Neeb's going to keep moving in. There's a couple of DTs going here, there, and everywhere. I mean, DT's coming in defensively as well. HeroMarine will just lift up and go to the main base. Oh, he was not looking at this fight. Neither was I at the start, but the disruptor, we saw it land dead center. I feel like I jumped to this fight at about the same time HeroMarine did. It's not even close. Neeb controls a lot of the game, especially some of the later fights, and closes this out to actually make a series out of this. He's going to be on the score. Bottom left side, we do have the blue Terran player. This from Mouse Sports is HeroMarine, up 2-1 in the series. Top right-hand side, the red Protoss player from Ting. You have Neeb. Well, Ice and Chrome is another nice macro-focused map. I mean, I feel like a lot of the maps in the map pool right now are nice and macro-focused. I do feel Pillars of Gold is one of the less ones, that is. It is in its own way. It's definitely not as nice to take 4 bases on as Death Aura and so on, but it's not impossible. It's also just a shorter distance to run across too. So I really feel, just to kind of go back to what I think was wrong for HeroMarine in that game, is that we kind of had some moments which were very interesting. Like, we had a lot of, you know, the first few fights didn't really have what he needed to fight the Zealots, which is fine. I don't think you always need to have what you need to fight the Zealots. And he didn't really overcommit at all. I do feel like the moment when he dropped in the main was maybe when he could have done something a little bit extra. But at the end of the day, I just think he took a few too many disruptor shots, and, you know, Neeb got up to 4 or 5 bases and wasn't really disrupted on mining. You know, he lost the 4th base initially, but after that, he was very comfortable, just expand. And HeroMarine was the one that was pulling workers away, that wasn't able to quite keep up, and obviously toward the end, some disgusting disruptor shots really did just, you know, seal the deal. Hey, we're going to have a wall in from HeroMarine, which is always a little bit funky to play with. Just as we get going, Kucho1987, thank you so much for the Prime sub, alongside the Jiggy. Thank you so much for supporting the channel and supporting the stream. Don't forget, replay packs available. Not of this tournament, we can't give out ESL Open Cup packs, but we will be doing a new pack of today's games featuring players such as Dark, Innovation, and Parting in the next few days over on the Discord server. And there's already the most recent replay pack available there if you want to check it out. !Discord in the chat. I continue to try and push the Discord activities, so if you are enjoying the stream and want to help me out, consider stopping by the Discord and saying hello, and maybe dropping us a little bit of love over there as well. Maybe coming back down, we do have a Stargate already building in the main base. Adept moving around on the left side. I mean, Neeb is pretty, I think, happy with playing Stargate for the most part of this. You know, Big Gabe is dominant when people are amazed that Neeb takes 1 game. Don't know if it's just amazed that he takes 1 game as much as it's just like, you know, the first 2 games were very good from HeroMarine, and then again, maybe after game 2 we shouldn't be so surprised because Neeb played from behind into a pretty good spot. And a Slater CC for 2 Reapers and an Alien doesn't really play out for much. Shield Battery defends, and it keeps the Adepts at home as once more Neeb will just open with a few Phoenix, wants to make sure he doesn't really take any early game damage. That's one way to lose a Phoenix very quickly, though, that would have mine. I'm just kind of coming over here, and the Phoenix is already dead, so that's interesting. I wonder if losing a Phoenix maybe, you know, sends HeroMarine into a bit more of an aggressive stance than the last game, where he maybe obviously gets the Cyclone and Viking up, and maybe he says, right, maybe I can make a push to deny a 3rd base this time, because he didn't push out last time with the double Cyclone. This time he maybe could, like Marine, Cyclone, Viking. It's definitely possible. More CVs coming up. There's Viking in production. Just going to be seeing the use of HeroMarine hanging around at the front of this robo facility about to complete from Neeb. Neeb already getting his warp gate into the natural as they Reaper to the right side. Is going to get rid of the probe, so probe gets taken down without much of a problem. And HeroMarine will continue down the bottom right-hand side, so continue to move away with that. Here comes the Reaper of HeroMarine up to the top side. So he's going to make his way up through there. A couple of Phoenix still into the center of the map, and another one flies overhead. I mean, it's just nice for the Reaper to just get a double check on what's going on. See the Robo Bay timing, so you get some information on that. Obviously, this is a pretty late 3rd base, I would say, for a Stargate opener. 5.5 minutes. Oh, wow, HeroMarine is going to pull the SCV, so he's really just going to commit to this attack here. I like it. However, Neeb is preparing for it. A 2nd Immortal already on the way is a pretty big deal in a situation like this. Obviously, there's a 2nd and 3rd racks. No 3rd CC just yet. Calling down supply here, Marine, to get out of a supply block. Those Phoenix are going to be important, because the Phoenix really can still lift up tanks in this fight and, you know, make a big difference. These Adepts going to commit to the back. Adepts going to shade through to the back of this. I guess shut off some reinforcements coming in one at a time. Force field kind of misses the marker. And the Widowmine gets to that high ground as well. Slow systematic progress. moving forward at the moment. I mean, these adepts still annoying, definitely shutting off a couple of the reinforcing units, but HeroMarine getting up to this high ground now, and well, it's scary because he's set up well. He's going to kill the shield battery to the side. No, he's not going to finish off. The SCVs are kind of in the wrong place. He never built any bunkers or anything, which that I find very surprising. He'll target down this Immortal. Vikings are still involved in this. A new Viking showing up. Some Stalkers are arriving too. I mean, Phoenix kind of lifting up there for a moment, but then backing away to a shield battery on the natural. He hadn't used super battery until now, because this fight kind of happened away from any batteries, and the Colossus coming out is going to be the deal breaker, right? The Colossus should be able to hold this off. These Marines, oh, maybe not. The tank in the back gets an extra couple Stalkers. Surely we're not far away from a defense from Neeb, though. Obviously no third. That's 2 bases on 2 bases. A third from HeroMarine starts, so maybe you can just get away from this and kind of go home to the next stage. Pylon coming through. I mean, the Colossus comes in here. The Viking getting a couple shots off. And the Colossus just kind of lasers down so many of these Marines in the end. HeroMarine has to back away. What's he got at home? No siege tank or anything? Okay, he's got 1 on the low ground. Obviously, stim combat +1. All of that's not ready for a while. Is Neeb's going to build a prism, and at the moment, he's still chasing across the map, which I feel is something you've got to be cautious about. Especially when you've got a Colossus that apparently wants to give chase as well. I feel like he didn't really notice this until he got hit by the tank shot. As Neeb goes into warp prism speed, the second prism is about to pop. No, it's not the second prism, but the prism in general is just about to pop, so getting that prism up and running. Plus is out down the bottom side. We see a few units from Neeb gathering up on the left. Charge is already building on that Twilight Council. And the Forge is coming through on the main base. So setting up for that is a couple Stalkers. The Colossus backing away. This one Colossus drop on the bottom side is going to go for a drop into the main. Four SCVs get taken down. The Prism backing away this side. Tank fire is good. The Colossus taking a big hit. Templar Archives on the natural of Neeb. Prism taking a bit of damage. Just going to drop back down over here. And a lot of Marines going down. Guess the Prism, that would be massive, but the Viking is not going to stay in range, so kind of a fun little Colossus drop to add on a little bit of extra something there, a little bit of kind of style, but it doesn't really achieve much, and that's an investment on that Prism speed, right? So it's an investment that doesn't really do all that much at the end of the day. I mean, here comes the next wave from here. See, this is my question. Would you rather have Prism speed right now, or would you rather have like an extra unit or an extra few units defensively? Probably the extra few units, right? Like, what the hell does Prism speed do against this attack? Really not that much. Tank's gonna siege. Only a couple of Vikings. If tanks get on range of those Colossi, though, well, Colossi just getting deleted. The tanks are just gonna blow them up with ease. And that's kind of the issue, that Neeb didn't really back away in time. There's no shield battery on the third base. Oh man, those tanks are gonna come forward, and Neeb's already backing away to the natural to get healed up. He pops the super battery to heal. Like, that's how desperate he is right now. The third's in trouble. Gonna lose this pylon. He's gonna pull the probes to the side. HeroMarine. I mean, this base goes down, no doubt about it. And Neeb's gonna get reset onto 2 bases. And HeroMarine, I mean, this is just not the fight that Neeb wanted. It was not the fight that Neeb needed. And again, HeroMarine just kind of shows up at points of these games and just wins. Salt's gonna come in. He's gonna have to respond to that. But of course, he can afford to take some damage while shutting down the third base of his opponent. Super battery on cooldown, remember, is defensively what is around. He's going to shut down the Prism, so nothing more than just these first few Zealots. He is pushing back. Tanks are slowly moving forward as he wants to go toward the left-hand side. And these Colossi, I just feel like they've been low forever. However, new Zealots and these Archons might change this a little bit. Can the tanks get Colossus? They get one of them. I'd say that's a pretty big deal. Even if you get pushed back here, right? Your reinforcements are coming over. You've gotten rid of one of the major points of splash damage. You know, one of the remaining points of splash damage is a Colossus that's going to get hit down by 1 volley of Vikings. Sorry, I lied. It's going to be 2 volleys. Unless he gets back to the battery, which he does not. I mean, I guess the big thing is there's just no Ghost Academy down, right? So there's not an easy way to get damage onto these Archons like with EMPs or anything. So the Archons are still kind of nice, but they're expensive. And you can see that Neeb just will not be able to replace all of these Archons that are going down here. Another tank siege, and there is the GG. HeroMarine takes 5 ESL Open Cup weeklies in a row. What a freaking legend. 3-1 against Neeb in number 35.